Hello everybody, it's Lazel here with another Magic the Gathering EDH deck tech. Today we are looking at Meren of Clan Nel Toth. She is a 4 mana 3/4 legendary creature human shaman and says whenever another creature you control dies, you get an experience counter. At the beginning of your end step, choose target creature card in your graveyard. If that card's mana value is less than or equal to the number of experience counters you have, return it to the battlefield. Otherwise, put it into your hand. We are going to play Meren as a toolbox deck, where we will use her ability to control the board and win with different synergies. One of our win cons is Lord of Extinction, a 5 mana XX, which says Lord of Extinction's power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in all graveyards. Not only is this going to become a very scary creature, but it also has a great synergy with our next card. Gerard, Golgari Lichlord, 4 mana 2/2, and Gerard, Golgari Lichlord gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. He has an activated ability for 3 mana, sacrifice another creature, each opponent loses life equal to the sacrificed creature's power. Sacrifice a swamp and a forest, return Gerard from your graveyard to your hand. Gerard is great in this deck. You can play a passive turn, bring him back to the battlefield with Meren's ability, and still have a lot of mana up to use his activated ability to swing something at your opponent's face. Kokushu, the Evening Star, 6 mana 5/5 flying. When Kokushu, the Evening Star, dies, each opponent loses 5 life. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. Kokushu will help you stabilize during the game, drain your opponents, and also get you a lot of experience counter, because we want to sacrifice a lot of our creatures to get more experience counters. Massacre Worm, a 6 mana 6/5, and when it enters the battlefield, creatures your opponents control get -2/-2 until end of turn. Furthermore, whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, that player loses 2 life. Junji, the Midnight Sky, 5 mana 5/5 Flying Menace, and when it dies, choose 1. Each opponent discards 2 cards and loses 2 life, or put target non-dragon creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, you lose 2 life. And Gruff Triplets, a 6 mana 3/3 trample, and when it enters the battlefield, if it isn't a token, create 2 tokens that are copies of it. When Gruff Triplets dies, put a number of +1/+1 counters equal to its power on each creature you control named Gruff Triplets. We will get it back, we will sacrifice it, we will get it back, so you can create a huge army of Gruff Triplets. Let's talk about a few creatures that help us control the board. Plaguecrafter, 3 mana 3/2, and when it enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. Each player who can't discards a card. Demon's Disciple, 3 mana 3/1, when it enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. Flashback Marauder, 3 mana 3/1, when it enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature. Now what's really important in Meren of Clan Nel Toth is our sacrifice outlets. For example, Phyrexian Altar, 3 mana artifact, sacrifice a creature, add 1 mana of any one color. Ashnod's Altar, 3 mana artifact, sacrifice a creature, add 2 colorless. Viscera Seer, 1 mana 1/1, sacrifice a creature, scry 1. Altar of Dementia, sacrifice a creature, target player puts a number of cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power from the top of their library into their graveyard. Altar of Dementia is probably one of the best cards in this deck. You have a sacrifice outlet to get your experience counters, and you also fill up your graveyard to increase your toolbox synergies. Wolfstrider, 3 mana 3/2, when it enters the battlefield, create a 0/1 white gold creature token. You can sacrifice a creature to scry 1, you can escape it for 5 mana and exiling 4 cards from your graveyard, and Wolfstrider escapes with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. Ayar, Fist of Locthwain, 3 mana 2/3. When she or another black creature enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. You can tap her and sacrifice another black creature to draw a card. Talking about card draw, let's keep it going. Grim Haruspex, 3 mana 3/2 with Morph for 1 black, and whenever another non-token creature you control dies, draw a card. Morbid Opportunist, 3 mana 1/3, whenever one or more other creatures die, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. Midnight Reaper, 3 mana 3/2, whenever a non-token creature you control dies, Midnight Reaper deals 1 damage to you and you draw a card. And Disciple of Bolas, 4 mana 2/1, when it enters the battlefield, sacrifice another creature. You gain X life and draw X cards where X is that creature's power. Let's talk about more synergistic creatures in this deck. Blood Artist, 2 mana 0/1, whenever Blood Artist or another creature dies, target player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Haywire Might, 1 mana 1/1, when it dies, you gain 2 life, and for 1 green and sacrifice it, exile target non-creature artifact or non-creature enchantment. Zulaport Cutthroat, 2 mana 1/1, whenever Zulaport Cutthroat or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Reclamation Sage, 3 mana 2/1, when it enters the battlefield, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment. Poison Tip Archer, 4 mana 2/3, reach Death Touch. Whenever another creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life. Grey Merchant of Asphodel, 5 mana 2/4. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent loses X life, where X is your devotion to black. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. You want to win more? You get it. Protein Hulk, 7 mana 6/6, and when it dies, search your library for any number of creature cards with total converted mana cost 6 or less and put them on the battlefield. Then shuffle your library. Smeargle, Helpful Guide, 3 mana 4/2, and at the beginning of your end step, if a creature died under your control this turn, the ring tempts you. Whenever the ring tempts you, target opponent reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a land card. Put that card onto the battlefield tapped under your control and the rest into their graveyard. And Driftnaught, Carnage Dominus, 5 mana 8/3. If a creature dying caused the triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. For 2 black Phyrexian and exiling 3 creature cards from your graveyard, put an indestructible counter on Driftnaught, Carnage Dominus. Alright guys, these were a few cards that I would play in Meren of Clan Nel Toth. Let me know which cards you would add to the deck, which legendary creature I shall feature next, and then I would say see you in the next video. Goodbye guys.